Oh, step back in light skin.
Welcome, everyone, to the... Am I allowed to say this? Sure? Okay. The Light-Skinned Opinion Podcast with your host, author, and culture commentator, Chris Maddox. Blogger and overall asshole, Alf954. And... okay, there's no way I'm saying this. It's offensive. Sure this is okay? Fine. And our dark-skinned producer, Parrish Thompson. What do we have today, boys? I mean, guys, not boys, because... oh, fuck it.
Yo, where's Chris?
I don't know what happened. First time back in a while, man.
I mean, we are off to a screaming start.
Hey,
Christopher Maddox.
What's going on, bro?
What's going on with you and your shitty internet?
Cause I don't know what is happening. The whole screen just went white. I'm like, what? What is going on? Dog, ladies and gentlemen, what's up? What's up, fellas? How y'all doing?
We good. We showed up for the show on time.
I see you, dog. I was here, saying circumstances. Ladies and gentlemen, what's up? One time. Hello, how you doing? My name is Christopher Maddox. I am online right now, barely, with my good friends Alphonse Sidney and Parrish Thompson. And we are the cast of the Light Skin Opinions podcast. And we would like to say hello. How you doing? How you been?
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
Happy
Merry
New
Christmas.
Year.
Happy Kwanzaa. You know what I'm saying?
Happy Thanksgiving. Happy Halloween. We missed a lot of shit.
A whole lot of stuff.
We missed Thanksgiving?
Yeah, dog. It's been a minute.
This heat season
It's
been
been a minute.
me up. But go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yeah, dog. So, we are back in effect. So glad to be back, and we got some stuff to talk about tonight. Y'all know the name of the show, so y'all know what you in for. See that?
No.
Caught it?
I didn't get it.
I got it. Was good. It was good.
No.
Keep it moving. Don't even let them, if they caught it, just let them take it with them.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's the Light Skin Opinions podcast. Let's hop right into what we got going on here today. Well, let the fellas talk. Alf, what's up, man? Say what's up to the people. What's going on?
Man, we are sorry we have been away so long. What is that? It's been a long time. We shouldn't have left you without a strong podcast to step to. But the heat season's back up in full gear. I'm doing hangover time every night. Chris out here doing world tours in New York and such.
Yes.
Parrish back to working full time and shit. Niggas just been busy. But we here. We back. The world kept moving. Politics kept moving. Ain't no Trump, so it's hard to get too mad about shit lately. But we got plenty of shit we can be mad about tonight. So let's go.
P, what's going on with you, dog?
Out here fucking chilling, bro. Earning, making money.
Straight up. You've been hustling, cuz.
Hustling. Living life, getting a little older.
You're one of my economic indicators.
Me?
Dog. Like, economists use, like, when you got a lot of shit going, that's how you know the economy's going.
Okay.
You feel me? Like, it's like your job situation is a bellwether for that. If they got shows going on,
people got bread to spend on senseless shows.
So when Parrish got free time, you start selling your stocks and shit.
Yeah.
Chris started divesting from crypto. Like, oh shit, Parrish,
dog. Let me tell you,
got too much free time on his hands.
There goes the economy. Dog. This man, he's kind of a jerk. You feel me? But I ain't really mad at Elon Musk, dog.
I'm about to talk about me.
I thought you were talking about me for a second. I was like,
no, neither one of you.
I'm not gonna argue with you.
I'm just saying because what Alf was saying, Alf was like, you sell your stock and stuff. Man, Elon Musk, dog, got a bro. I'm like, okay, cuz let me see how long that wave gonna ride. But that's neither here nor there. Me and Alf got a long running debate on the efficacy of buying stocks and shares and yada yada. And let's go right there, Alf. Let's go to Biden Harris.
When did I not like buying stocks? I don't remember.
Remember you was like, we had that whole debate about like what to do with stimulus check money. You remember?
Oh, you because you just drive me crazy.
Pete?
You want to build an empire off of $1,400?
Yeah,
buy stocks.
You did think niggas gonna change the world with their little stimulus check?
I ain't say change the world. See, y'all be missing
$4,000
the
Tesla stock.
Change their situation, improve their situation greatly.
Not the nuance. It'll improve it enough, and that's all for me. So speaking of all of that, man, when that was happening that summer, when me and Alf were arguing, debating lightly about like stimulus checks and Joe Biden and his administration had just jumped off in office. Basically, this was their first major thing, was to pass the COVID relief bill, of which several of us got the little stimulus pack, right? And it started off so nice, but here we are now. It's January. We're a full year in, and I got to say the mood in the country is very negative. So once again, Democrats and hope is not a lasting platform. America is a hopeless place sometimes, and I think people like it that way. You see me? Because if you come and you talk about hope, and if you talk about like change, there's a lot of folks who's like, "Cuz no." And so Joe Biden, with all his hope and all of the progressive momentum, runs into what I like to call an old country cracker. Maybe that's too rough. Maybe Joe Manchin. And the entire Joe Biden platform is ground to a halt because this man, one man, and Kristen Sinema to a lesser extent, have decided that, I'm cool on it, Joe. I'm not doing it. Give me y'all light-skinned opinions. I'm going to start with y'all. What are y'all opinions on this first year? What's your grade? What you giving it, Alf?
Well, I would like to say that the Democrats have just completely fumbled the bag. Okay, that's the young people like to say that, you fumble in the bag. That means you're fucking your money up. In this case, you're fucking your elections up because they about to get their ass washed in the next midterm elections. Like, I don't know what's going to go on with the next presidential election, just because I just expect the GOP to be so far right now that they're going to trot out someone like this DeSantis, who's untenable.
He's getting ready.
Yeah, and I don't know. We might be back to that shit in 3 years at this point, where the niggas is just ready to vote for a fucking racist, xenophobe, all this shit.
We back to it now.
I mean, we're like the Democrats don't get their asses handed to them in these midterms, and why? And listen, we can blame Joe Manchin all we want. Fuck Joe Manchin, he's trash, right? But the other thing is, it's like Democrats have this way of just shooting themselves in the foot, because there's been a lot of things that Joe Biden could have done outside of Congress that he says, you know what, the right way to do it is pass legislation. Not everything can be executive order.
Because executive orders can be overturned. That's
but point. You know what? For right now, sometimes you got to give niggas something. You know what I'm saying? Like, you got to give us a little bit, instead of, because once you put shit through legislation, shit gets peeled away. Like that Build Back Better Act is bullshit at this point. Say that 4 times fast.
But if you remember, that's another one of the debates me and you have always had about the pace of progress. You know what I'm saying? Like the progressive ideology really is like, it's here, we can see it, let's go get it. But America is always like, no, slow down.
No, America's not like that. Democrats are like that. Because
Democrats
Republicans
are like that because they're looking at an electorate that is gonna, like we see right now, that is gonna, okay, I'll vote with y'all for this cycle. But at the slightest,
but why?
whatever,
but why,
I'm out of
Chris?
here and I'm
because when they get in office, they don't do shit. Because the Republicans get in office, all that racist, xenophobic shit they preach during the run up,
they follow through.
They get racist quick and hard. They like
real hard.
There's no like pussyfooting around the racism and xenophobia. If they say they going to war, they about to go to war, whether Congress votes on the shit or not. They about to start bombing brown people second they get into office, right? The Democrats like legislation, blah, blah, blah. And yes, of course, it's the right way to do things, but that's also the way you fucking lose. Like, there's a lot of college football teams out here doing shit the right way. Alabama keeps winning. Okay, like Nick Saban doesn't give a fuck if you think he's a nice guy or not.
So give me a grade. What's your grade? Biden administration first
C
year in.
minus.
You
Like,
said D minus?
I said C minus.
Oh, C
like
minus.
I'm not as mad as most niggas are because most niggas just don't pay attention to a lot of shit going on.
Because they have there's legislation they can point to say, look, we did this. They have something on the resume.
What I think is a child tax credit that lifted all these people out of fucking poverty. And there's a lot of things that people are mad at them about. It's not their fault.
It didn't lift niggas out of poverty. You gave them a little extra change.
But a lot of like it literally. When you talk about the poverty line, that legislation it moved people from below the poverty line to above the poverty line.
But I think that's what
they did.
The poverty line itself is like an abstract,
and also
that is, you could be above the poverty line and still be 6 feet under.
With the way inflation is set up. And what's going on right now with the cost of housing, cost of food, cost of everything. I just had to go buy a new car because I told him my shit. Have you tried to buy a new car lately?
We haven't spoke since then. What did you end up getting?
I ended up with a 2020 Toyota Highlander. Beautiful fucking car, right?
Highlander. What is that?
It's like a
SUV.
It's an SUV. It's full size SUV. 3 rows of seats. It's not no crossover, nigga. I know what you're trying to do.
That's what I thought.
You trying to put me in a RAV4.
I thought you got the cool soccer mom joint.
You thought I had
I was like, what?
You thought I had a Ford Edge and shit? I know what you're trying to do to me.
I thought this nigga was gonna be putting
it's a legit SUV.
A Forerunner.
But what I'll say is
dropping balloon arches in places. New business venture.
So what was poverty 2 years ago ain't poverty now. Like this shit is wild. Like the average rent, I believe, in Broward County is for a 1-bedroom is over $2,000 right now.
Yeah, bro, my wife is on me right now. Like we gotta move, and I'm like, I'm holding out for a housing crash. You see me, bro?
I'm just waiting for it. I'm waiting for it. I'm sorry if you're close to foreclosure, but I need you to tip the fuck over because I need, I need to buy a house for
himself out here because that's really that's the number one route. If you're trying to stay in South Florida long term, you're gonna have to catch a crash.
Yes, because right now it is ridiculous. The house I bought in 2015 for $204,000 is $400,000 right now. Parrish, you've seen that house. It ain't all that for $400,000. All right, 3-bedroom, 2-bath.
It's the same
People selling in my neighborhood.
It's just older.
People selling in my neighborhood getting like $480. Like,
I'm
sorry. They're asking for $480.
They're getting it. They're probably getting $485.
But if they're asking it because it's within reach.
But so my thing is, a lot of these things that people are upset about is not necessarily the Biden administration's fault, right? It's not their fault.
Office,
Yeah, you get the blame. But what have you done to mitigate those circumstances for people?
Mm-hmm.
You out here reneging on the whole fucking student debt loan, the student debt cancellation. You reneged on that, right? More stimulus checks. You reneged on that. Oh, people are back to work. First of all, not everybody's back to work, and the people back to work are struggling. No, like the party of the people, the Democrats, they're not doing shit for anybody. Like they're not going in and try to put.
This wasn't one of our topics
or any of this shit.
Let me ask you this question. With the Great Resignation, people quitting their jobs, right? And this kind of like power shift just a little bit from owner to worker, because workers in this economy can be a little more choosy as to what jobs they taking, right? Everybody who's not a worker is uncomfortable with that paradigm shift. Do you think all of that, people quitting jobs and all of that, is all of that out of like some kind of morose situation that's coming from the Biden administration? Do you think you can tie that shit directly to them, at people quitting their jobs and this whole kind of slowness, malaise going on in the country?
Go ahead, P.
I mean, if I was really going to put a blame on that goes back to the Trump administration. If I had to place blame on the whole, because just the handling of COVID, the handling of all that stuff, that's on Sir Donald.
And that caused a paradigm shift where people had to find ways to get money.
Right.
Because you know what's crazy? Like right now, if you just give people money, stimulus checks. If you drop $1,000 stimulus check right now, you would win whatever election. And then in the following election, if you dropped a $800 stimulus check, you would probably win that election. Like, who would ever think that, like, in America, that is a valid thing? If somebody were to like run on that, you saw Andrew Wayne got pretty far with it, on a national level. But I mean, that's where we are right now. If you give folks $500, you might win whatever election. And if whoever can claim,
maybe they hold it, they sandbagging.
Honestly, what I think what the administration really needs to do, they need to tackle different things, man. Like I personally want to know why our food's getting so expensive, man. I need a lobbyist to talk to me and explain to me, because I know the farmers ain't getting it. You know what I mean? So it's
supply chain stuff. It's
supply chain, and that's another thing. But see, that Parrish, what you're talking about is there's a problem right now with inflation, supply chain, like Chris was talking about. These are not Biden and Harris's fault. But have they done anything?
Have they done anything help it? Exactly.
To mitigate the effects on me, you know what I'm saying?
That's what I'm saying. You could propose, I don't know if you could really, but say you did like hey, ladies and gentlemen, we giving y'all a $650 grocery credit because we understand, you know what I'm saying, that inflation, because though that's not
child. Some shit
my thing is, stop. You don't gotta give me a credit, man. Like, stop letting, you know what I'm saying, fucking Monsanto upcharge everybody in the process.
But you can't, because that's capitalism. Where America is right now, dog, is on the crux of like, do we really want to be like a democratic, capitalistic, like true, or do we want to start to massage some of that stuff out? Because if you're a capitalist, you can't tell Monsanto to do nothing, but make sure they're not killing people low key. You know what I'm saying?
I'll tell you like this: I help set prices at my company, right? And I've always tried to be very cognizant of the consumer and blah 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 and this and that. I try, right? But the amount of shit that rolls downhill at this point, every fucking component, like if you're bottling something, the bottles, the caps, the labels, like. There was a point during the middle of the pandemic that if you had black caps, like of any sort,
you could get whatever you
wanted. Nigga, you could name your price. I'm talking. If you guys have gone to grocery stores, pay attention. You have never seen so many 1 liter bottles of soda at a Walmart, right? Why are they there? Because you can't find the fucking 2 liters anywhere. You go see a bottle of Coke. They used to have a white or a black cap. Motherfucker got a yellow or a green cap. It is not, they're not saluting the troops. This is not Greenpeace. They can't find no fucking caps. Like, this shit is wild. So what ends up happening, Parrish, like you're asking, why can't they stop people? Because you're sitting on 10,000 white caps that you've had for 5 years. Some company X comes to you, I need them white caps, and I usually use a blue cap.
And I need them ASAP, because I got to get the timing right. Because by the time this shipping container gets
the ship done come in. Yeah, capitalism, right? And then it's just scarcity drives everything. And then, not to mention, okay, now I got the caps, the bottles, the labels, and everything. I got all that shit. Great. Now the place that fills my shit, they had a COVID outbreak. They're closed for 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Where am I going to get my shit from? Now I finally get it, right? I finally get the stuff. I'm delayed about 6 weeks now, right? I finally have everything that's in. Now I got to ship it out. Everybody in my shipping department got COVID. We're closed for a week. Finally, we're back. Now we call SAIA, or one of these trucking companies, come pick this shit up. We got no drivers. Do you understand that shit with the ports where shit is just stacked up at ports? Yeah. There's no drivers. There's no truck drivers. There's nothing. Like, dude, it is insane out there. And
I know people getting rich right now off starting trucking companies.
Bro,
trucking companies been around for 8 months.
You could, if you can drive
toting nice loads, you know.
If you could drive a truck or drive a forklift right now, name your fucking price. Name your price.
So there's another element now. That's all the supply chain stuff, right? But the government also is supposed to have a tool to fight inflation. And that's when the Fed, like, forgive me, I might be off here. They either raise or lower interest rates for the purposes of like making money either more expensive to loan or cheaper to fight inflation. But I read an article that was like, yo, they can't do that no more because they've been playing that little game for so long. You know what I'm saying? They do it any longer than that. They're kind of nervous about long-term damage to the economy by artificially lowering the price of credit, basically. So there's a lot going on here. But when you the boss, dog, you gotta take. You know, what I'm
mitigate.
saying?
You got to. Parrish is just saying mitigate some of this.
You got to
shit.
take
That's
that,
what I'm
that
saying, Parrish.
responsibility.
You may not want the credit, but that's the way a president or a way a government can counteract the market, right? The market is fucking us right now. We'll get back to it, but what we're gonna do is and I hate doing it, and I don't hate doing it. It's because but people get mad at you when you do it. If we can find $800 billion a year to spend on the military, we keep buying tanks for this war against nobody.
Oh yeah, for sure.
If we can find them,
there was like at least 2 big major projects that they just straight called off after having put billions of dollars into them. This happens all the time.
The amount of waste. And honestly, I understand every government's going to have waste. You be trying shit, throwing shit at the wall, see if it sticks. Why don't you try throwing us some money and see if that sticks?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
You could like sell several airplanes in something or take, not even sell them, but I mean like take that, whatever that would be worth out of the military budget and help, maybe not solve, but go a long way to solve like multiple problems.
Do you think that was Joe's intention when he pulled everybody out of Afghanistan?
No, because they spent more money they spent more money in the military budget the year after the Afghanistan war. They approved more money for the military budget than they did when we were in Afghanistan.
It turns out that our show is really going to be about capitalism and democracy because the military contracting infrastructure is so deep in lobbying with the government that they're going to get that money. They got so much money earmarked, and they're so invested in making sure they get more money by playing the system of democracy, by sending lobbyists to Washington, by funding campaigns, by running
by doing flyovers
games
at NFL games and making you feel like you ain't a patriot if you don't support the troops.
And
which I don't know what the fuck football has to do with troops, but whatever. Go ahead.
And all of that though is the capitalism and the democracy at play, right? So it's feeling like this conversation. So all right, so you gave him a C. P, what's your grade for the Biden administration?
Yeah, I mean it's a solid C for sure, man. I'm kind of on the fence that I understand that this shit's not gonna happen overnight. Like we're not gonna just come over and just change the whole system. So but I would like to see a little bit more something. Nigga.
Just do something. Just do something. Even if it's fucking performative, like sending everybody a $50 fucking gift card to Starbucks.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like, give me that $650 grocery bonus.
Just do.
You know what I'm saying? Like, whatever.
Bro, and it's so easy to do with the stroke of a fucking pen.
Yeah.
Following
through with the student loan thing would have been big.
Bro, that student loan thing affects so many fucking Democratic voters because college educated voters are overwhelmingly Democratic.
But that's the thing. They're and to your point, they're not really worried about Democratic voters. Everything that Democrats do is trying to see if they can pull a certain percentage away from the right.
You want the niggas storming the fucking Capitol? You think they're gonna vote for you? Like that's what I'm saying.
And that's where I was gonna go next with our topic.
Hey, do you think anybody has learned anything from that whole experience, storming the Capitol, people now getting punished and put in jail? Do you think?
Well, let me transition us there. I'm gonna give you my grade. My grade on the Biden administration, I'm right there at like a C minus, like a D, for all the reasons we talked about. So, January 6th, the anniversary was last week. The January 6th committee is every week, details are coming out about things they are finding. Let's do a real quick rundown. This the petty news that's come out, and it's good petty. I love it. We find out that during the riot, Donald Trump was sitting at the dinner table next to the Oval Office, watching it on TV, and people in the room are saying he was happy about it. Right. We get another leak that comes out that says his daughter, everybody, they going into the office, they like, yo, you got to do something. My man's just like, nah. Right. We got other information with Mark Meadows and Sean Hannity. These dudes going back and forth, both of them like, the sky is falling. You can't let this happen. And we see that Donald Trump is like, y'all boys don't run me. Right. So he does this whole thing. All this information is coming out. And then the first thing that comes up for McCarthy, the Republican leader in the House is, this is a witch hunt. And I'm like, here we are. I'm like, dog, these people, we have video evidence of these people, most of them avowed Trump supporters on social media, climbing the walls like ruffians and animals. And we are going to say
thugs and hooligans.
Thugs and hooligans, miscreants.
Miscreants.
You know what I'm saying? Like real mischievous
goons.
You know what I'm saying? Like
dregs of humanity.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying?
So, I love the fact that they beat cops with Blue Lives Matter flags, which is I just love it. I
watched this one clip that happens, and I'm like, this hurt every cop who's ever got to do with crowd control. When they was pulling the gate from Buddy, and him and his homeboy couldn't hold the gate, and one of them fell, I was like, oh, y'all really weren't ready. So y'all was overwhelmed, you dig? But for all of that to happen, and for people to
in the weeds,
and for them to say it's a political witch hunt, I'm like, sir, at this point, we wide open with the foolishness. Like,
you're unserious. You're unserious.
Part of the game of politics used to be talking around stuff to the point where we knew what you were saying, but they just outright with it. They like, dog, look, it happened. So what?
But here's the thing.
What's the big deal? That's their entire strategy. Go ahead,
Chris. The problem is the Democrats' focus should squarely be on the repercussions of what happened that day, the prosecutions, the jail time, like these sanctimonious fucking anniversaries where they had Lin-Manuel Miranda doing a fucking musical about January 6th. I don't know if y'all seen that shit.
I did not see
they had this January 6th remembrance.
First of all, Lin-Manuel fan though, so
but I'm saying it's not the Holocaust, all right?
Why are we remembering?
It was a bunch of rednecks ran up in the Capitol, and the Capitol Police fucked up.
Well, I'm gonna tell you why they're doing the anniversary. The anniversary and all that stuff is America is a country built on narratives. They're trying to keep the narrative alive so that they can get a political goal.
But the narrative needs to continue just to be about what happened that day. What are the repercussions? And then another thing people want to see is not just Tom, Dick, and Joe redneck that ran up in the building. The fucking senators, the congressmen, the fucking White House staff, the fucking president at the time that fucking oversaw all this shit. We want to see them punished. But the feckless fucking Democrats, once again, sit here and continue to just fumble the fucking bag. You have all the fucking power in the country. And niggas just don't show up to your hearings. And then, we might hold you in contempt. Bitch, do something. You know what the Republican Party, their entire platform right now is, bitch, do something. Bet you won't. Bet you won't. There was an insurrection. It wasn't an insurrection. It was a tour. You're lying. Do something about it.
Do something.
What you gonna do? The election was stolen. No, it wasn't. What you gonna do about it?
What you gonna do about it? I'm just keep saying it. Oh, we recounted it. I read an article about this today. Georgia, we recounted the joints 3 times, one of them by hand. Folks is still like, nope, I don't believe it. And so
every time they find real evidence of voter fraud, it's a fucking Republican like voting extra time for Trump.
But this is something that's interesting to me, and so this is my for real light-skinned opinion about it. As a black person in America watching this happen, there is a part of me though that is like, yeah, you know what I'm saying? Now the world can see it. We have known America to be this for a long time, to be a place that is unbalanced. Because the reason why you're not going to see no senators or representatives do all of that, because they got enough money and enough power and enough clout to play the system. You saw the boy who sold a weapon to Kyle Rittenhouse, something black, that whatever the guy who sold a gun, he gets off today with a $2,500 fine. Could you imagine if a guy got caught selling an automatic rifle, semi-automatic rifle to a young man in Chicago, and 2 people were shot as a result of it? Yeah. Do you think he would? So we have always known this imbalance existed in America. Now the rest of the world sees it. And so part of me is like, yes, now no one can deny. They will deny, but we all will know that this is a real problem in this country. The unbalance in the
I got a little hot take on Kyle Rittenhouse.
Mm-hmm.
It's might get me in trouble and canceled. But them people who got shot, like, I'm not. They don't. It doesn't. Like, okay, she lost a human life, but how Ashley Babbitt got shot up in that Capitol, running loose, running crazy. Like, there was a lot of people at these protests, and this is not going to be a popular thing. That I'm not calling them Antifa, but they were just a lot of troublemaking whites. Okay,
ruffians, though.
Ruffians,
whites that don't really give a fuck about niggas. Don't give a fuck about Mike Brown or fucking George Floyd or Breonna Taylor. They just like to go places and fuck shit up.
Well,
right?
let me go
anarchists, if you will.
Yeah.
And these niggas, these white folks, infiltrated a lot of peaceful fucking protests. And when they say Antifa, I don't like calling them Antifa, are the ones who are causing a lot of the problems. It's not entirely untrue. Because there were just a lot of white people that just love smoke. And they saw a little racist white boy walking around with a gun. Niggas wasn't running up on him. Niggas said, let that little racist white boy walk around with a gun. I'm not doing that. But it was the fucking A, man. It's fucking racist. Fuck you, bro. And they ran up on him.
And got popped.
Fucked around and found out.
But here's
a little bit. I'm not.
But here's I don't think your take is that high. I think that's how every black person who looks at the Kyle Rittenhouse joint feel about it. What Kyle Rittenhouse in that whole trial serves is the point we were talking about just now. Is the fact that we looked at him and we had yet again another data point with which to say, if you change the races of the people involved in this entire situation, there is no way that a young man, African-American man, Hispanic American man walks away from that situation clean the way he walked away. So I say all that to say January 6th, all of this that we talk about, I think all of it is just, it kind of serves, it sucks because it's going to affect me directly at some point as the waves ripple out. But the black man that's in me is like, yeah, this is how it is. And now, like, you see, I don't have to sound like a crazy man screaming at the windmills. You dig?
I do find it shocking that people can just deny it. Like Alf said, man, that's not what happened. It wasn't insurrection. And that's what you saw. That wasn't an insurrection.
And you showed them video of them fucking ripping that cop's mask and shit. Like,
and then you can always say, but that wasn't. I saw, the Comedy Central dude who goes out and interviews like Trump supporters or whatever, and they already got their minds made up. They're like, oh yeah, that wasn't Trump supporters. That wasn't us.
Oh yeah, like, that was it. That was Black Lives Matter.
Yeah, they can just they can just cut themselves off from it. Like, oh,
Mary, a Negro was in that crowd rushing up on the.
You know who was in that crowd? And let's talk about this because it's something I've been wanting, but I keep forgetting. There are a lot of people of color involved in that January 6th thing. People of color, meaning like the dude who set it all up is a man of South Pacific Asian descent. It's another buddy in that same, cultural vein name pop up. The dude from the Proud Boys who's like a Hispanic fella, and the guy who like run it. And I'm like, it's a whole bunch of folk.
Hispanic fella, you say?
Yeah, I'm just like,
let me tell you.
So y'all boys chose unwisely.
No. What I would like
foolishness.
What I would like to reiterate again, and I think I've said it before on this show, the idea of person of color and people of color is so overblown. That the idea that all Hispanic people rock with each other, overblown. Yeah.
Okay, I didn't know what other word to use in that moment because I didn't want to say the Indian buddy. You know what I'm saying? I didn't want to say.
But that's the thing.
You know what I mean?
This idea of people of color, like you will see somebody lily white but was born in Cuba, but you could trace every one of their ancestors back to Spain and England. That's a person of color? Excuse me?
Right.
A motherfucker that speaks Spanish is not a minority. Like this idea. Like, and we'll actually get to this in a second. Like, people say Coach Flores from the Miami Dolphins, oh, he's Latino. No, just because a nigga was born in a Spanish country don't mean he is he black. He's a black dude from whose parents even we're from a Spanish speaking country. Doesn't mean he's this whole person of color shit is wild to me. Like every white Cuban in South Florida talking about they a person of color, but they don't act like no people of color.
They sure don't, and they don't have to pay the tax.
Exactly, they don't think they us.
They ain't gotta pay that.
They can go to South Carolina someplace. They gonna
did you see the dude
Mexican?
Who,
they're gonna be real fucking mad though.
Did you see the dude who like he won some award? I only know a surface level of this particular topic. Some guy he wins an award. He's like a reggaeton artist or like something like that, and he wins an award for like
the
Afro Latino, whatever. And he comes out, he's like, I'm not Afro Latino. Like,
they think because you put a fucking beat behind a fucking Spanish song, you Afro Latino, bro. Like people are so fucking twisted about what race is. I just like now.
Do you guys believe that if a person has just a little bit of black in them, that they just black?
I'm down with the one drop rule.
I don't.
The one drop rule, but the one drop rule also does have some caveats to it in terms of what we talking about. It's the one drop rule, nature plus nurture, plus like wherever you like cut your teeth and came up at. You know what I'm saying? Because there's some folk who, you know, they come up in a place where they have to assimilate. They got to make a choice to assimilate real quick. And that's some real shit black people got to deal with. I don't know if anybody else, like when you birth your kids and you raise them somewhere, I think all black people have a kind of like conversation at some point, like, well, shit, I don't want my kids to grow up and be completely oblivious, you know what I mean, to the culture and to everything that we.
That's what I always wonder about middle American niggas. Like, I wonder how middle American niggas. Like,
I feel like that too. I'm like, dang, like. But then you watch these gang documentaries and niggas in Middle America.
That's what I'm saying. Middle American niggas have no qualms about who they are. It's us down here. No, it's big.
Y'all remember Banging in Little Rock when that came on HBO and everybody was like, Banging in Little Rock.
Them niggas was gangster.
I thought y'all boys was out here really hunting.
That's the first time I heard about stacking.
Yeah, just like Compton. That's what I heard.
Little Rock, just like Compton
with bad wooden fences. That's one of the permanent visuals.
But you know what? I always look at those places. I'm like, no wonder they gangbang. Ain't shit else to do.
But it's America, so you know what's around. Guns is around.
Guns and drugs and niggas huffing paint.
All right, so Middle America, you bought them up. Also this week, Brian Flores, Miami Dolphins, after having what was at the worst of times, at the best of the times type season, lost 7 straight to open the season, won the last 8 out of 9, right? They fired my man today. And from what I understand, the conversation is Stephen Ross, billionaire owner, fires the coach. He's had 2 good seasons, right? And it always looks like at the end of the last couple of Dolphin seasons, they always give you the impression, and it always looks like, okay, next season they'll be just enough better than how they are now for me to like. They fired him, and the word on the street is Stephen Ross says he's a bad communicator. They keep Greer, the GM.
Black
that
GM,
man was
by the way.
Black GM, and Buddy sold out the black coach. Well, I don't know if he sold him out, but he's like, if it's me or you
no,
got
that's a Latin coach. He's a Latino.
Oh yeah, he's Afro Latino. But what do y'all think about that?
This nigga's Latino.
I was gonna say, how you gonna? I was just gonna. I didn't want to interrupt you. I was gonna say, how you gonna look at that man and say he's not a black man?
He's not black. He's not black. He's Latino.
But he might tell you, I'm Afro Latino.
Nah, they said something. He's like, I'm from the Bronx, bro. Like, he said, what? Calm down.
But what y'all think about Stephen Ross saying that man who you just showed, there was a communication barrier enough for him to say, all right, let's cut ties.
I'll start. None of this shit makes sense. When I heard about it, I almost went to Twitter to ask somebody what the fuck's going on. Because I was like, it don't make no sense. How is this the best coach the Dolphins have had in like 20 years? It's something ridiculous.
And who else are you going? So now that you fire him, who are you going to bring in here? Like, I'm going to have to readjust my whole mind because I thought hiring Flores was akin to the Heat going with Spolstra. Let me get a young dude. You know what I'm saying?
I heard it was about Tua. I heard he wasn't in love with Tua. He's been trying to, get rid of him all season, kind of.
Well, that's partly Tua's fault.
So
because Tua went, what was that? The game before this week where he was fumbling the ball, losing the ball in the cold. And
That was
Miami fans are torn between Tua though, man. Like, so,
I like him.
you love, yeah.
I like Tua too, but I would say there's something to the coaching staff that you're not prepared for a windy rain. Like they ran the ball like 12 times and threw it 40. In a windy, rainy, your quarterback doesn't have the best arm in the world. Like your game plan was not to run the ball at all.
Let's have the conversation by getting that stuff out, so it don't look like we biased because the man is black, right? There are also multiple times during the season where timeout and game management problems.
Yeah,
there's also multiple times in the season where he's challenging plays, he's throwing the red flag, mad aggressive, and costing himself timeouts. Then at the end of the game, we in close games. We one timeout short. You got a lot of that going on.
And play calling. Okay,
I don't think any of those are fireable offenses.
Well, so let's go to the negative. Play calling was bad. Offensive play calling, especially. Defensive play calling.
They got a rhythm when they got on the win streak. But before that,
even during the win streak, like I was watching Dolphins fans upset week after week, even while they're winning, because this whole idea, they had like 3 or 4 offensive coordinators. There was no flow to the offense, right? And the fact that like they managed Tua in this fucking shoebox, like they never let him open up. Like at one point when you're 1-7, Jacoby Brissett's out there fucking shit up. Tua comes back. Let's open up the offense a little bit. Just
get wild.
But I think maybe because this nigga knew he was coaching for a job, it was about
that's what
winning.
I was about to say. Maybe he knew, like, hey, we ain't about all that, dog. We need to win some games.
As much as I, because of my Heat affiliation, I'm not a Dolphin fan, but I see a lot of what the Dolphins fans are complaining about. I do see there are issues on game day with his coaching, and then behind the scenes, the whole management of Tua, which I blame the entire organization on, but a lot of it was him as well, like. When he had Fitzpatrick, bringing Fitzpatrick back in the game last year, let your rookie, make mistakes.
Yeah, that was he
was scared to go all in with Tua.
Bringing Jacoby Brissett in on 3rd and short.
But do y'all think any of that? P, you said they're not fireable offenses, but when you compare him to the black GM dude, he spent all that money on Will Fuller, who turned out to be a super bust. He has not put together a solid offensive line
ever
in 3, 4, 5 years. You can't find a running back. You went and got Duke Johnson off the street.
Also,
he's the best running back.
But my thing is, like, they both made mistakes. They both have been hidden. They both have had hits and misses. And the coach, like, yes, Flores has made some coaching mistakes. He's made some questionable calls. He's horrible at challenges. Even though I know a lot of them come from upstairs. Like, yes, he makes some mistakes, but that's just, I feel like that's growing pains, man. First time head coach.
I agree.
He's got a winning record. Like, I think he's a good coach. I don't, as far as the GM goes, like he's missed on some stuff. He's hit on some stuff. I don't think either one of them deserve to be fired, to be honest with you. I think it has to be, personality things behind the scenes and come down to, hey, I need you to work with our draft pick. And he's like, I don't want to. I don't like him.
Now let's look at who Stephen Ross is, though. We know we have a kind of decent read on Stephen Ross's politics. In the current climate of America, I don't think it's ridiculous to ask, could Stephen Ross have been like, man, I'm tired of this black coach, guys. I need a superstar coach.
I don't think it's that. But okay, so we have biases underneath the surface, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I think what happened in the Dolphins case is that Chris Greer, a black man, and Brian Flores, a black man, were not getting along, weren't on the same page. And there's nothing worse in sports than owner, GM, and coach, and football especially, not being on the same page. It just does not work because, like Bill Parcells said, somebody's buying the groceries but then asking you to cook. You know what I'm saying? You got to be on the same page. And so I think Stephen Ross made a choice between those two guys.
I feel you.
My biggest problem with the Dolphins is they always do this half-ass regime change.
Yeah.
You get rid of the GM, don't get rid of the coach. Then you get rid of the coach and don't get rid of the GM. Like, if you're going to change shit, change it completely. But when I talk about biases underneath the surface, what white coach in the NFL could win 8 of their last 9 games?
Thank you. Yeah.
Be 1 game away from the playoffs when they had to start Jacoby Brissett for half the fucking year, right? For our non-football fans, Jacoby Brissett is what we like to call trash, right? And he went 1-7 with mostly Jacoby Brissett. He got Tua back. With Tua, he goes 8-1 at the end of the year, and you fire a coach after winning. No, 8. They won 8 of their last 9.
Yeah, they were 1-7 at the beginning. I think you can bring in a new coach if you already have a GM. I don't think you can bring in a GM and not get rid of your coach. But
what about the black GM coach aspect of it? So he doesn't get fired because he's black coach, and you make a very valid point about why that probably most likely is not the case. But he is an African American coach. They're saying on ESPN, Adam Schefter was naming like, yo, he's going to be in high demand because he's put some decent stuff on tape, as we've talked about. But do you feel like we've reached a point where a guy like Brian Flores can get fired from Miami unceremoniously and then rehire somewhere else, like we see with known named coaches? But the leash is going to be just as short. White.
The leash is going to be just as short. Like there's no white coach that this would be okay to fire them after this, right? Now I don't think he got fired because he was black, but I also don't think you could have got away with firing a white coach with this record, with
this story. If with this narrative of we was 1-7 to start, we closed out 8-1. We turned it around. The team galvanized.
8-1, Chris, with his starting quarterback,
and with Jalen Waddle going off.
I think with Tua starting, they were 9-3. Come on, bro.
I think he gets another job. Honestly, personally, I do.
He will in a second. I hope he comes back and whoops the Dolphins' ass.
Yeah, I think this season in particular, this coming up season, this next season, I think there's going to be a couple of black hires. That goes without saying. I mean, we get fired for less, and with no explanation. I'm trying to think. I'm sure some white folks have been fired kind of unjustified, though. I'm trying to think off the top of my head. But
when you just said that, the first thing that came to mind was Josh McDaniels, who takes head coaching jobs, quits them, gets another head coaching job,
quits,
goes to the interview and takes the job, walks out and changes his mind and goes back to being an offensive coordinator. And this man, if he put his name on the market right now, he'll get a job like that, But these are all part of just, what I'm saying, the things in America that we see as people of color, as a term that Alf hates. And that I want, like, through the politics and through this whole COVID, everything, you're starting to see a little bit of, or the world can see a little bit maybe of what we see. And maybe I'm just looking at that the wrong way, but that's kind of the way I feel about it.
Bro, they did that's Chris Greer on the right.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how people look at this, but that's Chris Greer on the right. He's a black one, not Stephen Ross. They was fucking with him. They had a Photoshop of him as as Samuel L. Jackson in Django.
I was gonna say he do look like a company man. He do look like a company man.
He do look like a company man. He do look like a company man. My father-in-law,
powerful nigga tree.
I don't want to give away this secret, but ain't too many people listen to this podcast. Have y'all ever heard black people call a white man Bruce, like as like a general term, and they'll be like, Bruce be, and what they're really talking about, like white men. No. Or like you said somewhere and a white guy comes in, he's like, oh, Bruce done came in. Right? So my father-in-law and some men of his ilk, that's their term for when they talking about white people around white people. They'd be like, hey, Bruce always out here being funny with the money. So when I see Stephen Ross in that picture, that's the first thing I thought. I was Bruce. Like, look at Bruce. Bruce out here with his 2 black friends.
Hey, he trying to tell you
all the money, dog.
He trying to tell you one of them was Latino.
Latinx. Y'all boys gonna do the 10-year challenge?
What's that shit? What I look like 10 years ago?
10 years ago. Yeah, I might.
Why?
This is my graduation year, man. I graduated. It was 20 years ago, man. I graduated high school 20 fucking years ago.
10 years ago. Your hair long.
I'm saying it's 20 years ago. I graduated high school 20 years ago, though, so I have to do the 10-year challenge. But like,
you graduated in 01?
2002. It's 22 now, ain't it?
22.
Yeah.
20, oh yeah. What am I talking about? 22. Oh, me and Alf older than you, nigga. I knew he's. Oh, okay.
Yeah. Y'all got me by like 3 years.
Paris
Yeah.
legit.
Yeah, we sonning you, dog.
Hey, it's all good, man.
Hey, but when Paris came
Holding on
to
to
me
these 30s, boy.
Paris came to me the first time I was working at Jason's Deli. He come in and he's like, "Hey, what's up, man?" You know, Paris got a little energy to him. I was probably had a long day. I was like, "What the fuck you want?" You know what I mean? Like, but I thought it was a customer. I'm like, he's like, "No." He's like, "I'm gonna start working here." I'm like, "Okay, as a line cook, you know what I'm saying?" Yeah, because he looked like he looked 16 years old, and then he's like, "Oh no, I'm assistant manager." I said, "For who?" I said,
I had no facial hair then either, because they let me have facial hair at the restaurant.
When I say this nigga look like a
man
jit,
said you look like a line cook.
Yeah,
he looked like a jit. It was just like he looked 16. How old were you? Like 20?
I was like 25. I think it's 24.
Bro,
25.
I was like, he looked 16 years old. I was like, who gonna bring you here? How you gonna get to your shift on time?
Yeah.
Hey, ladies and gentlemen, as I cough up a lung here,
goddamn.
I see, dog. You just getting old because that's that old man about to go to sleep.
Nigga tired.
Folks, this has been the Light Skin Opinions podcast. We had some fun tonight. We talked some trash tonight. And hopefully, you know what I'm saying, we entertained you.
Wait, I thought you were going to school on this Chicago teacher strike.
Oh, we can't. Here's the thing I wanted to talk about that. Well, we know at this point the teachers have been on strike for 4 days, right? But the real thing I wanted to talk about for us, real quickly though, this idea of like the dignity of like work. As a teacher myself, I feel some way when people, you know, these people are like, nah, we ain't with these conditions, right? But then everybody throw the kids up, like, oh, you hurting the kids. Oh,
fuck them kids.
Oh, exactly.
Fuck them kids.
If you love the kids, you'd pay the teachers.
That's really what I wanted to talk about. It's like this idea that there are some professions that though you have to maintain accreditations, you got to do continuing education out the wahoo, you got to meet all type of hurdles, right, to even do the job, that there's not the same respect for people who would even work in like a shirt factory or something. You know what I mean? Like, let these people strike. Them kids could be home. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, like you could be, yeah, I don't know. It's something about it rubs me the wrong way, but it has nothing to do with the strike itself. More to do with this, the way people are talking about it. Like, these people cannot do this. And in Florida, we're a no strike state for educators.
Mm-hmm.
And which therefore means our union has no teeth whatsoever, because the ability to strike is the only leverage that a workforce really, not the only, but a good weapon that the workforce has.
Strikes and lawsuits.
That's the game.
People don't want to hear it. I think I ranted on here about the hot coffee lawsuit and tort reform and how fucked up all that shit is. But like we undercut ourselves once you start talking about, oh, these teachers don't care about the kids. Now you don't undercut yourself if you ever have a labor dispute. Ever. Because if Parrish decides that the theater workers want to strike, you don't care about theater lovers? You don't care about the actors and the musicians?
We quick to tell you no.
No.
But
like y'all got some strong union situations going on over there.
But here's my thing, Chris. What you're talking about they don't care about the kids. No, you don't care about the fucking kids, right? You don't. Because if you did, you would invest in the fucking people that, like, you entrust your kids to these people how many hours a day? And to be a teacher in a place like South Florida right now is to not be able to work 40 hours a week, probably more, and have to invest your own funds in school supplies and not be able to afford a one-bedroom apartment. That is what being a teacher is right now. So why the fuck would, like, they're like, oh, well, you know what you were getting into. Well, not necessarily, motherfucker. No, I didn't.
Right.
I didn't know the fucking housing. When we were kids, a teacher could buy a home.
Easily.
You know what I'm saying? A teacher and a police officer could have a nice house in a nice neighborhood with a yard and shit.
Civil servant job.
Yeah. But you can't do that shit anymore. Right?
You cannot.
And then not to mention, the schooling that it takes to be a teacher makes it's untenable. Like you can't spend $160,000 on an education and then come back 32. And make 35. Like
that's ridiculous.
It is cost prohibitive to become an educator in America. We've created this environment, created these circumstances, and then dare to call these motherfuckers selfish when they're like, "Can I get paid a decent wage?" You want me
or
to
can I not?
Can I not have to buy my own school supply? I gotta buy my own construction paper, my nigga.
Can I work in Chicago and live in Chicago?
No, absolutely not.
Now there's no public school teacher.
And so that's what bothers me about the whole way that this is being covered. Not like the media is saying all this, but these are the arguments that are being presented in the media from one side to the other. And this idea that's being put forth, kind of like these teachers are beyond the pale in what it is they're asking for.
But you know what? It's more so an attack on the union than actually the teachers. They're attacking the union.
And that's part of this thing, because we've talked about this on this show before too. And we started the show, so this is a weird little way we end up going back, talking about capitalism and democracy. Like, what better union of those two ideologies is there than a labor union? You feel me? Like capitalism and democracy. But now we've turned unions somehow in this country into like the boogeyman, like they all are like Jimmy Hoffa Teamster
like
unions.
Horrible thing.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? I'm like, unions are what make the world go round. Without unions, dog, a lot of the people who now are anti-union, you wouldn't have been growing up in a mid-century
child
house.
labor
You know what I'm saying? Like
child labor laws, 40-hour
you'd
work
be working
week.
in a sweatshop right now, son.
Paid breaks, paid leave, vacation time, PTO. All this shit stems from unions. And if you're not in a union, the only reason you have those things is because your employer is so afraid of you going to a union.
Right.
Without unions, you don't have rights as a fucking worker. And do unions get abused sometimes? Do they abuse their power? Sure. Everybody does.
The same way politics as an institution gets abused and the criminal justice system gets abused and all of that.
But it's the oldest trick in the world. Like you tell people that the situation and the organization that's in place to protect them is somehow evil. You convince people to vote and fight against their own fucking rights. Like it's the oldest trick in the book.
And it's ridiculous. And so when I see them and you know the government of Chicago is making it like, oh my gosh, like, and it's always this kind of undercurrent, like, oh, y'all lazy, that's why y'all don't want to come in here and go to work. Bro, you got me in a room with, 20 plus
all your badass kids,
teenagers.
But I think that was
while a virus is going on. That shouldn't even come up as like an argument.
Lazy.
No, I was gonna say we kind of mentioned it earlier, but like I think just as a country, we've decided that we're not going to do certain jobs anymore. Like unless we getting paid more or certain just situations around the job change. Like people just don't want to work for $5 an hour anymore, breaking their backs. You're not gonna make a living off of it anymore.
A lot of people want to stop at people don't want to work.
Yeah.
Right? No, people don't want to work for you. I love those restaurants where they have the signs, we had to close today because people don't want to work. No, nigga, nobody wants to work for your sorry ass.
Yeah, at your Google establishment.
Like I done worked in restaurants my whole life. Like it's hard fucking work. And then you have these people go on TV all day calling it unskilled labor, unskilled this, unskilled that. I had a tweet that went fucking semi-viral the other day when I was like, I was the GM for Taco Bell. Hardest fucking goddamn job I ever had in my life. And I made literally 1/5 of what I do now. 1/5 as a general manager for Taco Bell. I have the easiest job of my entire fucking life. Which one of these motherfuckers is unskilled? The job I have now where I sit in this fucking room for 8 hours a day? Or the one where I was working fucking 60 hours a week, you know what I'm saying, closing Taco Bell at 6 o'clock in the morning in the middle of the fucking hood, getting fucking shot at and all kinds of dumb shit for $32,000 a year. Fuck out my goddamn face. Unskilled. That shit sucks. It ain't unskilled. You ever try to fucking wrap a Crunch Wrap Supreme, nigga? That shit is harder than any.
Fortunately, I can say that I have never had to try.
It is impossible. Fucking, it's like a trapezoid, an octagon, and a fucking stop sign put together.
All of that.